Hey everyone, it's Ashley Bissett Summerall with Telltale TV. I'm excited to be joined today by Jon Huertas, who plays Miguel on This Is Us. Jon, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me pull
Yes.
over to the side of the road to do this.
Which is heck of dedication and makes us feel pretty happy. So we appreciate that. Well, I'm excited to talk to you about This Is Us. I'd love to kind of start at the beginning of your journey with this show. How did you come to be involved with This Is Us initially?
Well, I just finished working on Castle. Our show finished its 8th season and did not come back for a ninth. And I was kind of free. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I kind of, I wasn't really thinking I was going to jump right back onto a network show at the time, but you know, uh, this show seemed very interesting. They had sent me the trailer for the show before it had aired, and when the show had already gotten picked up, I guess the trailer, they put it online and it had gotten millions of views. And so with the trailer, I was like, wow, this show has a great and beautiful look, and then and just feel, and I the connect just within the trailer, I was so connected to all the characters already. So then they sent me the pilot, and after watching that, I was just blown away. And it was supposed to be just I thought originally that it was just supposed to be like a couple of you know episodes with Jack, because I play his best friend. Because I think from the beginning, Dan Fogelman has always kept things hidden from not only the audience but also the cast, so that nothing's ever spoiled, so that everyone's always surprised. And so I gotta, they said, I went in and read for the show, and for Dan, and for Ken Olin, and for John and Glenn, and everybody involved. And they said, you're hired. And then suddenly I got a phone call saying I have to go to a special effects makeup house. And I didn't understand why. And they said, yeah, we got to do a life cast of your entire head. And I was like, what? This is a family drama. It's not like a sci-fi show
Right.
or anything like that. It's not an action flick. They're not gonna blow my head up, are they? I mean, what's going on? So when I got there, they told me, oh yeah, we've got to create old age makeup for you because you're gonna be, aged up when you're married to Rebecca. And I was like, Rebecca is Jack's wife. No, I played Jack's best friend.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, we know. And you're gonna be like married to her, and you guys have, you're older. And I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. So then, as we started filming the show and I was doing way more episodes than I thought, that's when it was kind of broken to me that Jack dies and you marry Rebecca, and you're a much bigger part of the puzzle than we alluded to at the beginning. And that's how it all started.
That's so crazy. I mean, because I was really curious to know how much you guys know and how much you would have known about Miguel from the beginning, because there's still so much that we haven't even gotten to learn.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, we haven't explored much of Miguel's backstory. There is, some stuff that's been revealed, but a lot of the stuff that we've seen so far, which is what's great about Dan and Isaac and Elizabeth and all of the writers, is that they kind of allow me to weigh in and help develop the character's background and story, and use me and my real background and some of the storytelling. So it's very collaborative. But I know that next season we're going to see a lot more of what's going on with regards to the love story between Rebecca and Miguel.
That'll be exciting because I know, I mean, that's something that a lot of people have been waiting for, right? Is to kind of fill in those pieces. What So you said you've kind of had some input. Any specifics that you can share?
Well, for instance, Miguel's last name, Rivas, is that's the last name of one of the closest people I was to when I actually served in the Air Force years ago. Uh, my, one of my best friends and uh, you know, um, coworkers, was his last name was Rivas. Well, it still is Rebus. I mean, he's not dead or anything, but he's very important to me, and so I was able to say, hey, can we, name the character this so that it's an ode to my, my battle buddy. So it was, they gave me that, and there's other things that they've used as far as, just kind of what I went through, little bits and pieces that I've told maybe the kids in a with regards to, like, say, Randall and his, him being a black kid in a white family, and in a predominantly white school when he was going there, and I had similar experiences, and so he took some of my experiences and allowed me to kind of say something. I think I said something to Randall about when I moved to Pittsburgh and couldn't speak English, like I made it my mission to, so that I didn't sound like a English second language person, because to me it felt like I would fit in better. And I think we're gonna even deal more with what that means to someone, because I had a very similar experience as a kid as well.
So talk a little bit about what it's been like to play this character across the different decades.
Yeah, I think I've gone from like 26 to 73 at this point on the show, which is just mind-boggling, really. And it's interesting, you kind of have to try to have different versions of the character at different ages, because that's who we are. Because as we grow older, we learn so much that each version of ourselves is a little different, and so trying to figure out how to do that has been very, very interesting and fun. But I gotta say, playing the elder version of Miguel has shown me what I'm gonna have to cut off the past with a plastic surgeon at some point. Yeah.
The makeup is really what's that like, just to have to get that done for the character?
It's 3 hours in the makeup chair, so usually you're showing up about 3 or 4 hours before everyone else does. Myself, Mandy, whoever else is aging, but it's usually me and Mandy, and the makeup and hair department, and everybody shows up super early. And we go through this process, which is, it's gotten a lot easier. Like I said, it's about 2.5, 3 hours now. And it's very intimate. You have somebody like on your face for 2.5 hours, like in and on your face for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So it's very intimate, I think. And so you get to know these people very well, and they get to know you and your pores and wrinkles very well, creating more wrinkles. It's fun. It's my version of Star Trek. I always wanted to work on Star Trek and never got to. And so this is my version of Star Trek, me going through like alien makeup.
Right. And then the episode that just aired too is a younger version of Miguel, and they're at this dinner and everything, and I was really interested in the hair that we see on Miguel in an episode like that too.
That's my real hair. And it's my character at that time in his career and life, that seed that was planted about, like, what I wanted to not be seen as like an English second language person, or an immigrant, or less than. I think that the hair, there's something to that. He blow dries his hair to make it straight, because he feels more included in the middle-aged white male kind of world. Because Miguel's hair is naturally curly. When he's elder, he's got more curly hair, because I think that there's we'll see what happens. I can't tell you too much, but he goes through a change. And in the earlier years, the 70s and the 80s, it was important a lot of times for people to fit in order to get ahead, to kind of change their identity, or kind of erase their real identity, create another identity, so that they can get ahead. And I think that that's something that that's something that we're exploring with the hair,
Mhm.
is that Miguel, to fit in, straightens his hair and wears the suits and tries to be one of the guys.
Right.
So and it's pretty long right now. So it was the long 70s, 80s version of it.
Yeah. I mean, that seems interesting sort of thematically too. So that, I guess, I know you can't give much away, but that's something that we're going to be exploring kind of more with him throughout, like
I
identity.
think so. I mean, yeah, and that, that's definitely what we've talked about and what I'm definitely going to be pushing, because it's, it's important. I, personally belong to a diaspora that is, has traditionally kind of been overlooked, the Afro-Latino. Hollywood and even the census has always tried to say you're either Black, white, Latino, Asian, and they kind of skip over the people who might be biracial. You have to put other, and that never feels good to put other, really. And then with Latinos, especially Latinos that are from the Caribbean, 90% of the slave trade was in the Caribbean and Central and South America. 90%, only 10% here in North America, in our country, United States of America. So, there are a lot of people that have, their ancestry goes back to the slave trade and the indigenous people, like, for instance, in Puerto Rico, the Taino Indians that escaped into the mountains and jungles, and then the slaves that might escape into the mountains and jungles, and then that's and then that mixing with Spaniards. It's that's what kind of an Afro-Latino identifies with, is that very specific diaspora. And so we haven't really spoken or spoken to that with a lot of media, with a lot of TV and film. And so I think it's it's new to people. And I think for me, that's something that's very important to me to get, out there and across with our show, because our show is the kind of show that's what our show does. It takes chances, it takes risks, it pushes things forward. Adoption, for one, as we've seen, a Black kid being raised by a white family. And I think that for Miguel, it's got to be that, what is his identity? He's finding it himself, because 70s and 80s, the Afro-Latino term, I don't think even existed.
Right.
So that's, I think it's something that's very important to me. So I hope we can, do it and then it not get cut. We'll see.
Let's hope. And because this is a show that reaches so many people.
Absolutely. So it would open people's eyes up to, oh, there's way more diversity than I even thought there was.
Mm-hmm. You also directed a recent episode, The Ride, where the different families are bringing their babies home from the hospital. Talk a little bit about directing that episode for me.
Well, it was amazing, but it was also challenging. It was, which I love. That's what made it amazing. It was, during the times of COVID. During the times of COVID, it was Mandy Moore being 9 months pregnant. It was because of COVID, episodes 7 and 8 were behind, so we were filming episodes 7, 8, and 9 kind of congruently. So I would sometimes film in the morning and then hand the set off to Ken Olin in the afternoon, or vice versa. It was challenging, but that's what made it so much fun. Like, for them to give me my first episode of the show during this time might seem mean, but it was probably the best gift I could have received, because if you can do an episode in these current times and with these, kind of troubling and terse parameters, if you can succeed. Oh, and it was the fastest turnaround too. So my episode actually finished shooting on a Thursday, and the episode aired the following Tuesday. So it was the fastest turnaround of any episode that we've ever done on the show. So that was scary and but successful. So yeah, I thought it was an experience working with, of course, some of the best actors that I've ever shared the screen with. So it's definitely the best actors I've probably directed. And that was like a huge part of the gift of having this episode, because what's better than that, to be working. I think as a director, that your best work is only going to come if you surround yourself with the best people. from
Mhm.
the crew, the director of photography, to the cast. And we have an amazing cast everybody sees, but not everybody sees our director of photography, Yasu Anita, who is just creates the most beautiful images. So he was such an amazing kind of person to work with for this episode, because he not only taught me a lot, but we worked so good together. But it was fun. It was great. It was, I can't. We're gonna do more next season. So, I think it's my new job after This Is Us is over. Directing
Oh,
is my new
really?
job.
That's going to be
Yeah,
the focus, or?
that's gonna be my focus: directing and creating content that speaks to the kind of things I want to speak to.
Awesome. Now, what
Yeah.
what would you say, because that was a really nice episode. What would you say you're most proud of from it?
From that episode,
Mhm.
I'm most proud of the scene that where Kevin wakes up from his dream. Um, well, not when he wakes up from his dream. When he wakes up in the car. Wait, when he wakes up in bed and
Okay.
he's in the dream. That's my most. It's just so confusing because he wakes up like twice. So yeah, when he wakes up in his dream and walks down the hallway and finds Jack, just the composition of the shot was it was an ambitious shot for our show, and the composition was great. The two actors. I mean, this is the moment that I cried on set, when I had like tears in my eyes on set. Was And it was during rehearsal. It wasn't even while we were actually filming the scene. It was during rehearsal. So that was probably the most meaningful for me, because it touched me the most emotionally, and it was not just the material and the acting, but also that the shot was successful the way that I composed it.
Mhm. I was thinking about that scene as you're talking about it. You saw me like, we get so invested. I think it's so funny how everybody just, even when the episode isn't trying to be a tearjerker, it's a tearjerker.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and that's the thing. And yeah, and now directing, I know in my episode, there were no moments where I was like, all right, this is where I want to make the audience cry.
right.
It's just, you know, uh, I just, for me in that scene, I just wanted Jack and Kevin to connect in a way that they had never connected before. And it didn't matter that Jack was dead. It's that Kevin, you know, he has these beautiful memories of his father. He can connect to those memories, which will help make him a better father. And I think that's all I wanted to get. And so, for me, I wasn't trying to make people cry. I wasn't trying to make myself cry. It's the material. It's the way that those two actors made the two characters connect. There's a way that they looked at each other that was just very grounded and real and connected. And I
Mhm.
think that's what people respond to. People want to connect to people. That's what we want to do. We want to look each other in the eyes and feel like that person sees us. And I think that's what those two characters were doing. And us as the audience were living vicariously through that moment.
Just looking back at the show, what's been one of your favorite moments to film?
I think it's probably I really loved the scene where Miguel stood up for Jack to his boss, when Jack was going to get fired. I really thought that was the one of the moments where we know why Jack would be okay with Miguel eventually marrying Rebecca and taking care of her. I think that it proved to Jack that Miguel will take care of him
Yeah.
and anything connected to him. So I liked that. I like seeing people stand up for other people. It's that's why we like superheroes. That's why we like you know best friends. That I think that was probably my favorite moment so far.
Yeah.
There may be another one coming up that no one's seen yet. I don't even want to speak to that.
Right. But we can know we have something good to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time. This was a lot of fun to talk about the show. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks. Have a good one.